Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of From the Root to the Fruit. I am Jay Smith, your host. Today's guest, I've known this dude since we were in high school. We used to wrestle against each other for state. Tremendous human being, quiet, doesn't like to rattle people's cages and mess with folks. Really good brother, though. He's the owner and operator of his own yoga and fitness studio, as well as an avid, passionate painter. And he used to teach. Like he had the whole bag. I cannot wait to sit down, unpack some stuff, and get a little bit deeper into his story and find out what makes him tick a little bit. Welcome to the show, Bishop Daniels. God, I hate you. And we're on Bishop Daniels. You, God, oh man. Welcome to the podcast, brother. How you been?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. I still hate you. I want you to know that in front of God and everybody. I will show up for you whenever, but
That's
you
fine. He
know
probably hate me too.
You're right. You right. Let me. Oh man. So I know. Have you always lived in North Carolina?
No, nah. I grew up all over. My pops was in the army, so
Okay.
I was born in New York and lived in Virginia, Korea, Panama, and then came
Nice.
to North Carolina. So I've been here long enough. I'm from here now.
I was about to say now. Hell, at least you were been there.
Yeah, but I don't
You
claim it. I can't.
you can't claim it. You can't claim it. I know we met briefly in high school or out at the end of high school,
No,
wrestling at duels. And where you guys, I think you rattled off like three state titles in a row or something like that.
Yep.
And
That's what we used to do.
I still feel some kind of way about that. I ain't gonna say nothing on here.
Hey, you should, man.
I ain't
Hate
gonna
is
say nothing on
strong.
here.
Hey.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say nothing on here. Yeah, you ain't gonna make me put my religion down on my podcast. I ain't gonna say nothing. You guys were really dominant. Like your class and subsequently what ended up happening after that. Dunbar, we lost him last year, but he ended up taking over the reins and coaching out there too.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about that Cary wrestling. You guys just had horses. I wish I could say something different, but you guys were just really good. You get older, you got to recognize real. Y'all were just really dominant.
We ran things. I mean, let's make it what it is. We ran things in the I guess from the 80s to the early 2000s. We were just romping and stomping through everywhere. I mean, so from when I came in, I had never wrestled in my life. But my father wrestled in high school, and he recognized that basketball wasn't the way to go for me. I mean, at some point, I couldn't be Larry Johnson. It was
yes, you were not overly tall. You were not overly tall.
It wasn't even the tall. I couldn't shoot. I couldn't jump, and I like to knock people over. It wasn't about basketball. Was me and the ball, and I mean, I grew up in Cary, so I grew up with a bunch of little white kids, so it was always me. I would score 30 points, but I would shoot the ball 60 times. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. The Allen Iverson project.
Yeah, but I didn't know
it. I can get 40. We good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need 90 shots though. So
yeah, I can run down the court, beat everybody down the court, shoot it, miss it, probably shoot it again and miss it. And then the next time finally make it with the wrong hand, coming up with the wrong hand on the wrong side of the goal, trying to shoot a layup. But you couldn't tell me nothing at the time, but,
can't tell you nothing now. Like that. That seems to be consistent. I respect that. That's consistent. That's consistent.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've always been on my own kind of thing. But so I started wrestling when I was 13, maybe 12 or 13. I was in 7th grade, and I didn't want to do it. but I played football as well. And the first day I went in, the coach said, "You get a medal for beating people up." And when he told me that like something went off. I was like, but I don't get in trouble, right? And it's like, sign me up. I'll do this.
That makes so much sense. Having knowing
Yeah,
you for all these years, that makes so much sense.
yeah. I was looking at that point. I was looking for legalities of things. Can I do this? And he like, let's outweigh the trouble of things here. And to me, that was the greatest thing in the world. You tell me I can beat somebody up, I can impose my will on somebody, even at that point, and you're gonna raise my hand at the end, and all I gotta do is wear this singlet. I mean, I'll get comfortable with it. You know what I mean? And and so I wrestled for when I was in middle school. I wrestled for a wrestling club. It was just me and another guy. We had our own private coach, but I wrestled over at Cary High School, and enter into my freshman year. Um, I mean, that school was tough. It was you could if you were really good, you could go in and start. But if you just, I mean, I was pretty young, so it took me 2 years to kind of catch on and break the starting lineup as a regular. Um, and from then, it was just enjoying the sport, learning the sport, and just being a part of the program and just excelling in wrestling. It was
Nice.
great. My team, most of my teammates are some of my best friends in life. I still talk to them, and we had a good time. I mean, it was like, I mean, what year was that? It's like 98, 99. It was almost, I mean, we were running around like rock stars. Like, well, even though we were young, we thought we were.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say nothing about that. I want to know who wrestled for you guys at 89, in 98. I would like to know that if you still know him. I mean, I'm
uh,
because he caught me in the nuts and y'all won. I mean, what you gonna do? I'm not gonna
can't
say
really
nothing.
remember,
Whatever,
man.
whatever.
But I mean, I'm sure he did. I mean, we was about it. So I mean,
Yeah. I was like, I'm trying to get a timeout and everything like that. Oh no, oh no, oh
we'll do
no.
that.
I still was in it. Still should have got that escape at the end, but I ain't gonna say nothing about that ref.
Things don't work. Now we wrestle
God, I hate
in the
you.
go champs.
Oh man, so in college, hit me with college. You went to state, yeah?
I went to state afterwards. So I started off. I was so as much as I excelled in wrestling, was as bad of a student I was, because I never. I only took school serious to a point as far as academia. I mean,
Okay.
you don't know who you are when you're a kid, and for me, I just was going through the motions and figured whatever I didn't get done at some point because of sports, I would figure it out. And so I took a long journey to get to state. I started off at St. Augustine's College in downtown Raleigh. I went down there to get my grades up, but also learned a lot about life there. I mean, I went from a predominantly white high school to a historically black college for a year and a half, which was mind blowing. And I mean, I can sit down and let's talk for about 3 hours about that. Just a difference.
Yeah, no kidding. We even when we were running together, we go over to, is that timeout in
Yeah,
Chapel Hill? We go
yeah,
over
it
to
was time.
timeout or whatever. I'm with you. It's not the same.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
a
the
totally
same.
different thing. So I went there, uh, which is when I really buckled down, and it was probably the first time in my life I ever worked hard in school, because I had intentions on enrolling in state and walking on the wrestling team. So after going to St. Aug for a year and a half, I left in the spring semester of my sophomore year and went to state, enrolled there with the thought that I'm going to do what I got to do to wrestle, because that's what I wanted at the time. That's what I wanted to do in life. No matter how I had to do it, I was willing to put the work in. But when I got to state, what I didn't realize is that at state, don't nobody care who you are. You're just a dot.
Nobody. You're nobody.
Yeah. So at St. Aug, you had to go. At St. Aug, you had to be diligent. You had to go to class. It was part of your grade, which I'm sure it was at state too. But at St. Aug, if you didn't show up to class, they knew who you were because classes were so small.
So yeah, the class. I was about to say the class size is like a third of what it would be at state.
Yeah, I think I had one class, I think I had 27 people in there. So it was like being in high school.
It's like a regular, yeah, it's like a regular class.
And then going into state, my first class, I'll never forget, the first class I had there was an auditorium. I had never had a class like that before. And the first day I was so nervous and anxiety ridden. I walked in, went to the bathroom and left and decided that I don't need to come back to here right now. And I went home and watched Knight Rider.
Oh man.
The deal. And then I figured I had friends, and most of my friends went to state at the time, and just learning from them and advisors and stuff. I realized you didn't have to go to class, but if you didn't go to class, you had to do the work. And for a while, I had that figured out. I figured, well, the more I don't go to class, I'll just get the work done. And if I don't, when I do have to show up, I'll show up. And it turns out that's not how it works over there because, with anything, it gets on top of you when you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
For sure.
And so after entertaining the thought of walking on the wrestling team and working out like I would have done any other year, you just find in life and in especially at big universities, there's more to life than working out. There's parties and girls and all the other stuff that I'm not going to talk about, but like you realize like you've been missing out, but really you haven't been missing out. Like these are
right.
things,
like you trying to do the right. It's different. Yeah. I'm with you.
like, but you can't. But what I found out at state was you had to. I could do both very well. I could party the hardest, and I could lock down and go to school the hardest, but I couldn't do both at the same time. And I just decided that I was going to party the hardest. And so I left state. Then I took a tour of a couple community colleges. Then I went to, where did I go after that? This is funny. I went to UNCG for a semester. Yeah, but I did at the time, it was an online program.
Okay.
I went back to Wake Tech and finished up there with a 2-year degree in early childhood education. So I took quite the journey. I spent a lot of money, and if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have. School wasn't for me. I mean, that, like as life, I'm not one of those people. I don't regret the journey I took. It's just, I think, you find yourself doing what everybody else is doing because that's just the most comfortable thing to do instead of taking those risks and living your life the way you should. And for me, and I've had plenty of friends that have gone back to school. I think you went back to school, right?
Yep.
You ended up going back to school. Like,
yep.
To me, that was never an option for me because there was nothing there for me. It wasn't on my path of what I wanted to do in my life and where I'm at now. So it's just, it was cool. I had a good time. Didn't get the degree, but I learned a lot of dumb shit, but it's all good. I'll kill everybody in trivia.
Murk, you will get murked in trivia.
Yeah, I can play trivia like a motherfucker, but like that's about it. I ain't got nothing to show for it, but I was there.
but if nothing else, like you genuinely, to your point, like your experiences through that helped you learn who you are and what works for you. So I mean, there is some value.
Yeah, it was. Oh, no doubt, it was value in it, but it was more life lessons than the lessons I actually paid for. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't
right. Well, you gonna pay either way, right? Like,
yeah. I didn't need the government to be, trying to get that money out of me for what I learned. Shit, I could have learned that on my own.
Welcome to school, youngster.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh, you don't feel like coming to class today? Well, you still got to pay this check. You know what I'm saying?
You still paid that professor $287, even though you didn't go.
Yeah, because they want their money, I mean, and with that said, like I didn't know, so I had to always had somebody doing everything for me. You tell me where to be, I would show up. And I never understood like student loans and all that stuff. I just thought, hey, you go to school, it's paid for. At some point, you got to pay it back. But like, I never, when I was in my 20s, I didn't understand. Like, no, the minute you don't go to school, the minute they you got to.
That's when it starts. And I think I had it wasn't much because I got grants and everything else, but I think I had like $1,800 or something,
Mm.
uh, and I I forgot to pay it. I did.
Yeah,
I wasn't, that wasn't the top of my sheet. Somebody on a piece of paper that they sent in the mail. Hey, if you don't, whatever.
yeah,
But me and Uncle Sam good now because
yeah,
they
yeah. I went
they're like,
time.
you thought those are your taxes? Let me get that up off you, and we good.
Yeah, yeah. So like, so for instance, like I went to St. Aug, and St. Aug is struggling HBCU. Has been for years. It costs more money to go there for a semester than it did at NC State. So the minute I left St. Aug, I was fine because I just enrolled at State. And but the minute I left State, St. Aug wanted their money, and St. Aug wanted me for 17 grand. So like when I was a kid, like you got money. So let's be honest,
You ain't got 17 dimes, no.
when you live in life, when you're 20, 21, 22 years old, and you think you got money, you actually don't, but you living like you do, and then someone calls you and goes, "Hey, you're on the hook for X amount of money," and you like, "Man, I don't know what that is." And like, if I had 17 grand, I wouldn't be giving it to you.
Why would I give it to you? Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be the first thing. Yeah, you right.
yeah,
You right. You
yeah.
right. And to
I
you
get
young people that
17
may be
grand.
watching, be wise and take a finance class and understand where your name is going. Because to Bishop's very point, as soon as you stop going to school, they're gonna get that money.
Yeah, yeah. It's prolonging. Then I mean, they're gonna get their money regardless. But the way
Yes.
college works is, as long as you're in school, I mean, I'm the quick way I'm going to describe this is, as long as you're in school, you're good. They got you owe them some money, you're on the hook, but you in school will let you slide. The minute you decide, man, I ain't going to class no more, and you walk out with nothing,
Check,
yeah,
please.
yeah, we don't need that money. Sorry, you were dumb enough to leave, but we still need our money.
Then we gonna be here. We gonna be
Yeah,
here. Oh man.
state was a little bit more was cheaper for me because I was getting grants as well, and not only was I getting grants, I was I forgot I had something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was really no skin off my back, and I should have stayed there. But like I said, I went to an HBCU where I knew nobody, and I was having to reinvent who I was. So I went to state, and it was like, man, I know you, I know you, I know you, and like when it's different. And I don't think that'd be a whole nother topic to explain how it is to be amongst your people and then be amongst a sea of all people. It's a whole
Right.
it's a crazy it's one of the craziest experience in life. I mean, I don't even talk about it that much, but it is literally to me something that when you think you like, as especially as black men, when you think you like, man, I'm tough, I'm a black dude, all black people are like, we ain't. First of all, we are
No,
not.
no, we are not. Look at me. Look at me.
No.
No, we're not.
we are not we are not all alike. We don't listen to the same music, we don't have
Nope.
the same ideas, and we don't all come from the same place. It's a whole different beast of what you think it is. So for me, even as a black person, you go into thinking like, man, brothers is brothers.
Oh, yeah, this ought to be velvet. No.
You're not. You are
I
not.
ain't your brother partner. You better put your hand
Yeah,
down.
you are not. It is and it is and when you and like for me, so for going to a predominantly white high school and growing up in Cary at the time, where it was predominantly white, until you go to a predominantly a black college, it's a culture shock. It's a big culture shock.
In both arenas, right? Like you know what I'm saying? To your point, like you go from being a needle in a haystack to now
Yeah,
being a stack of needles.
yeah, yeah. I went from so I basically I like to put it like this: like I went from I can do no wrong to who is you.
For real, for
um,
real.
yeah, like and it was real quick too, and it was a whole kind of adjustment because I had never been used to it because I had done it before as a child, just like from moving around and stuff. And but when you're a kid, it's easier. But when you're trying to figure out who you are at 18, 19 years old, man, it's crazy. And at the time, Raleigh wasn't what it is now, and it was just like, man, I don't even know. I talked to other people that have gone to St. Aug, and it's just like we all need like a therapy session.
Y'all got y'all got PTSD over there?
Yeah, because I mean, everything about it, man. I can't. Whew. Might need a hug talking about it.
I know, right? Let me light a candle in here. You can't even smell it, and I still want to light one for you.
Yeah, but we done. I ain't gonna talk about that no more. St. Aug was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I'm with you. On to the next one. So we had met briefly, but we became friends working together. Kind of talk about that.
Okay. Wait a second. Is this thing on?
Yeah. I hate your soul so bad.
So I worked. Let's see here. I worked at as a I worked security at, what was that? It was Jillian's. So I worked at
Yep.
Jillian's security, and you at the time were a bartender, right?
Yep. Well, I was everything.
Yeah.
That's how they could say that they were paying me what they were paying me. I was everything.
But Jillian's. I wouldn't call it a nightclub. It was more like an event space, right?
Right.
Because it had a little bit of everything. It was, you could eat there, you could play games. They had a nightclub, like a sports bar kind of area, billiard tables, all kinds of shit. Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess me and you, I'm not gonna mention no names, but we had a mutual friend. And so I'll never forget the first time one of the first times you spoke to me, and you were like, "Man, you ain't shit." And he said, "I never," because I was doing what I was doing. I thought no one else knew what I thought no one else knew what I was doing, but you knew from how things were going. I mean, that's just that whole, like, you think you move in the dark, somebody's got eyes on you kind of thing. But like I said, I don't regret it. It was a part of my life. I had a good time. I mean, I think she had a good time too. I can say no names.
And you ain't shit.
Yeah, nah. But it's part of life. I mean,
it is.
I mean, I think that atmosphere is driven that way. I mean, I've never, I don't know if that's technically food industry or just.
Well, it more or less is, because and to your point, it's very different because we're working, like, some shifts are 10 p.m. at night till 2 in the morning, and we don't leave until 4. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it just takes a different kind of cat anyway to be in that space and deal with that stuff. Because you're basically a vampire, because you're sleeping all day, so you can get ready to go out at night, and then you get back when it's daytime. So
yeah. So I mean, I kept it myself for the most part. I mean, I got the job through Dunbar. And the funny thing is, I only got the job because at the time I had I had to go to court for something, and I needed to pay for this court, to pay for this thing. I had to find another source of real source of income to pay for it, and so he put me on. And the funny thing was, I had been kicked out of there more times than I could count before that. But
ain't life funny like that?
Yeah, my interview was basically, we know who you are, Dunbar vouched for you, but are you gonna be doing the same things you were doing? You was getting kicked out. Lied and said no, you got the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
like, you're done with that, right?
yeah, just here. Yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna go down the street and do the same thing.
I'm gonna do the same thing, and then tell them I'm from here. We rep it. Let's go.
Yeah. So, so we did that for a while. Me and you used to hang out, play video games all night, all damn day. Pillage, and take.
Drank way too much, too many times.
Yeah.
And you have been my Jiminy Cricket more times than I would care to count or admit. I was saying, hey, don't do that. You sure we're gonna do this?
Oh
All
yeah.
right.
This is what I used to say. Everybody, I used to always say, "Hey, we're gonna have a good time."
We're gonna either way this go, we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time.
Oh, buddy, yeah, no kidding. Even we went to the beach, and those dudes were hitting the car or whatever, and
Oh yeah, Wrightsville.
yeah, yeah, it was, yeah, we had some times, buddy. We had some times.
Yeah. Well, it's been more than 10 years. You can talk about that. I mean, I
Nah,
ain't going nowhere for it. Okay.
nope. Oh no, it ain't to go somewhere. My kids watch this.
Oh, oh well, your daddy. Psych.
They know their dad was not
Hey,
always a
at all
husband and a
times, you
father.
got to protect yourself. That's all that.
Yes, yes. And when your phone is ringing, you probably don't pick it up in the middle
Yeah.
of a fight. That's not the best way. When you
Yeah.
do
Maybe
that,
not.
it's not the
Maybe not a
best
good
way.
idea.
It's not the best idea. Although I stand by it.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about. Clearly, I wasn't worried about the fight. To answer my phone, but
Remember
I knew
what kind of phone was it?
it was a flip phone. It was the Motorola boy. It was a big deal.
For
Because
that
then,
reason right there, when they bring back flip phones, you need to get one.
yes, no, and keep it right here in my pocket.
Just for that reason that you just said.
Because
I forgot.
I was in the middle of bap, and I'm like, oh, I dropped my phone.
Yeah. Was it 911? It wasn't even an emergency
It
situation.
wasn't even worth it. It wasn't even worth it. It wasn't even worth it. How sick is that? And it wasn't even where I was double mad at the end of it because I'm like, that wasn't even worth it.
But at the time, it was worth it. That's the thing. I mean,
100%. 100%. Because I didn't want to replace the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like you in a scuffle or whatever. I didn't want him stepping on it or me throw him on it, or now I ain't got a phone and I'm
you got to
black
go back.
eyes heel.
You got to find a Sprint store. You got to see if you got insurance. All
Yeah.
that stuff. And there wasn't no
Oh,
iPhones at the time, so you had to get a whole new phone. And while you got to pull the chip out the back.
put all that. Yep, you got to do all that manual. Wasn't worth it. What? I'll take the black eye over that. that was the only shot.
Yeah, I do remember that now. I remember because we went to that bar. You had to put the beer on your face.
Yeah, still drank it, and I was more salty because we won. I was salty at that, man. I was like, I can't believe I let that dude hit me because I had to get my phone. Ain't that some ass?
So we had those. I think a couple times it was I think it was more than once at the beach. I think it was twice. It was the one time when my hand was I had stitches in my hand, and I said I don't want to do this, but I hit him anyway with my hand that had stitches in it because I was young and dumb, and then
dumb, and out of control.
Yeah, it was funny. It's funny because like now, like it's just I can't even find myself getting that mad. I mean, I don't go to those same kind of ever to that same kind of places, but like I've reached that point in my life where you can't even like get me that mad about things. Like I don't even see the point now, like of me having to put my hands on somebody. I mean, now granted, I don't have kids either, but like I don't see the point.
But to that point, like I'm as wild as we were, and like I said, I was out there a little further than you were because you were from time to time you're like, hey man, all right, okay, for real.
Yeah.
But I don't, unless it's my wife or my kids or something like that, like I'll get upset like in the truck, like I'll chew a lot, but I have no interest in anybody getting me to, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't even want to interact with you to make you think you might whatever, because that dude still pays rent in here.
Yeah, like that's how I am. Like I don't see no, I mean, I ain't gonna say I see everybody as a friend, but I don't see nobody as an enemy. I mean, if you got a problem with me, you got a problem with yourself. It ain't on me. So
I didn't do nothing.
Nah, and if I did, you still got a problem with yourself because I'd have moved on. Like I ain't. Yeah,
already,
like
I'm already past that.
Yeah, like because my girlfriend Mary, like from time to time she'll meet somebody from my past, and then how it is. You go friends, they always gonna talk about something that happened a long time ago. No matter if it was 5 years ago, 20 years ago, they're gonna bring it up. And you know Ty, so like, well, sorry, Tyrone. And anyway, so like there was a time where they were like just having it was a bunch of stories. Yeah, people, man, you thought it was a campfire the way he was telling these stories. Just people listening and shit. And he's telling these stories and people are looking at me and they looking at him like, and how are you still standing here? And I'm thinking to myself, like, that's a good question. That's why I don't talk about these things. Like that, there was a good, it was, I can't even per se whether it was a good time or not. It's just things that happened.
So,
It was part of life at the point for me. That's who I was. I mean, I was about it.
yes,
I was
about
still,
the original about that action, boss.
yeah, yeah. I was about to action. And not only that, I smiled all the way through it. And when I got to that point, it was, oh, I'm doing this. Like, this is what we gonna do. Like you said, I was about that action, boss. And like also what he said, I was gonna run through a motherfucker's face.
And ain't nobody gonna hold up to that. Ain't nobody gonna hold up. And that's the irony. Like even at when I got that black eye picking up my phone, you were in the Jeep, like, Jay, really?
Yeah.
Let it go, man. Like, let it go. It ain't that deep. And I'm
Yeah.
on my way out the Jeep, like, damn it. All right.
Yeah, because like, well, back then it was let it go, because if we got to do this, it's gonna go. Like, and I at that time, like I said, I was about that action. So if we was gonna do it, it was gonna go my way, and it was gonna go 1,000% real quick, and it was gonna reach that point, and you're gonna have to look at yourself and go, is this what you wanted? This is what you wanted to see? Huh?
That's exactly what it was. Like, even riding back, we got back to the hotel after the fact. We still went out.
Yeah.
I swole it, everything. We still went out. We still had a good time. We still got drunk. We still played out, and we got back to the place, and you just looked at me. You were like, see what you did? See what you did? See what you did? How you feel about that? How you feel about that now?
Whatever you was planning on doing, I was gonna do it times 10, and then, and then go back what I was doing.
Go back, go right back,
go
right back.
As long as I was still free.
So,
hey, because that's all that mattered to me.
That's real. That's real life.
As long as I had that flip phone in my pocket, and
I remember it's the gray flip phone, boy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what you doing? Don't worry about that.
I missed them phones. I saw that they were coming back out with Razor phones. I'm like, man, I'll sign up for it. iPhone ever come out with a flip phone, I'm on it.
On it.
It's something about hanging up on somebody with a flip phone.
The click, that click. That click is yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's better than sliding your finger across or just hitting the button on the side. I want you to know when you hung up the phone, you heard that little snap. Because I meant it. And if you didn't hear it, just know that was the action that I was doing.
That's what I want. I want there to be at least to give me a button that I can press that'll make it sound like that on your end, so I meant to do it. That's what I want.
Yeah, I didn't hang up the phone. I hung up on you.
I hung up on you. So you are now, I know you I've seen some of your artwork. You're legit. What is that kind of what you're speaking to, some of the calming, right? Like better ways to manage yourself and know yourself and all those other things, is your art and even yoga, which I got a whole different level of respect for you for that. Just for a couple of reasons. One, my plank is legit. Let me quit bullshit. My plank is legit, but my wife does all the poses, and I'm pretty locked in on plank and warrior. Like, I'm gonna stick with those till I get my training wheels off.
You just got to go, man. You got to take
tell me how you got into that stuff.
With the art, so when I was a kid, I never liked doing anything that took time for me to figure it out. Even when I was a little kid, I like to do things and I'd like to do it my way and be done. And that's just how it was. My grandmother used to say I was special because I would do shit like that. Like, because I did not like, if you gave me directions, and you know what that means when they call you that. But when they gave me directions or something like that, something I had to spend some time doing, I ain't want no part of it. And the older I got, I kind of got started getting into art. I like to look at it. It was more of like, oh, that's really cool, and things started to kind of. I started seeing things differently. Like it started kind of vibrating inside of my soul and everything. Even when I was probably in my teenage years, and then as an adult, I used to see things. I used to go, man, I wish I could do something like that, or I wish I had the time to do something like that. And I was always living in an apartment, but I never had like things on the wall, or it was because I was a guy. I was worried about what was in my bar, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I
And,
was about to do. Now you had something to drink every time you come
yeah,
visit.
for the
Hey,
new,
you want some of that?
if I had that new PlayStation game, that was more important to me, or how big the TV was. And I went to a art store, and I was like, I saw, because I had seen a painting. I'll never forget. It was blue, and I was like, like, well, the least thing is I could do is just get a canvas and paint it blue and put it up. And I did it, but I didn't like the way it turned out because it didn't make me feel anyway. It was just blue. I liked the color, but it didn't really do anything for me. So I had a I don't know, something intuition. I don't know. It just told me to go to an art store, like a real art store, and ask questions. And I had maybe $200 in my pocket, and I went to this art store downtown, called not downtown, but in North Raleigh, called Jerry's Artorama. And I asked this guy a million questions. I asked him what I need to buy, um, like what happens if you use this with this, and all these other questions. And he gave me all the tools that I needed at the time. And I went home, and I had a garage, and I stayed in that garage for probably, I don't know, probably about 8 hours, just messing around. I had a bunch of canvases, like different sizes. Most of them were big, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had poor lighting, making a mess on the ground, getting paint all over my clothes and all that stuff. But I was enjoying it, and like when you're doing something and you don't realize how long you've been down there. And I was like, wow, I feel good. Like I feel like I've done something more than go out and drink all night and party all night, and probably get in a fight or whatever.
Most
Um,
likely. Most likely. Yep.
Thanks for co-signing that. And
I was the one too. I was there too. Like what you want? You want? I'm
yeah,
telling on us. I ain't telling on me.
and so I kept going, and uh, my boss at the time at the school I was working at, she gave me like this huge wooden board, and she was like, "Here, you can use this to paint." And I had no idea what I was doing, and I just kept building upon the ideas I had, and building and building and building. And I mean, I was probably down there working on it 3 months, and didn't even realize it. And then like it just turned out to be like this work of art. When I went outside in the daylight in real light, people were like, "Wow, that's really cool." And when I think at the time it wasn't really self doubt. It was just more like, man, you're just trying to be nice. You're trying to be cool. Because I was always used to
Right.
people feeding into that time feeding my own ego, and I didn't. I mean, I didn't really say no, but I was just like, you just bullshit kind of thing. And
Right.
then I
You should have
realized,
called. You should have called me. I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
yeah, but you could have told me 5 times, but I still could have found 10 people to tell me otherwise.
That's fair.
Because I mean, I'm just that kind of person, and that's not even toot my own horn. It's just, um, I just usually have a good vibe with people, and I kept working at it, and then it was like, well, I finished this big one, and I had another big one, and kept working and kept working. It became something that I went from doing like a couple hours out of the day to practically every day. It actually even took me away from, at the time I was working out a lot, and I just quit like working out, which I had never done in my whole life. I quit working out for probably a year, and it was the worst year ever because I was comfortable, I was relaxed, but I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't good for my health. And at the time, my roommate, his sister had gone to yoga training, and I can't remember if she was in Texas or Chicago. I can't remember where she went, but she came back and she was like, "I'm gonna open a yoga studio." And I mean, yoga was big at the time. Hot yoga was just kind of taking off, but it wasn't a lot of places around here. And I was just like, whatever, that's dumb, man. Why the hell would I go do yoga? Like I'll sit in a hot room any day because I mean I'm used to that. I'll sit in a sauna or whatever, heat room.
Right, like you in all the years of wrestling and everything else,
Yeah,
like I can sit and I can be hot. That ain't the
yeah,
problem.
that's nothing to me. But then like but then it was like she was like, you're going. I need you to go because I need to build it up. And I would go to work every day and come in and do yoga, and it was like the greatest thing ever because I was in there. It was hot, so I was sweating, getting a good sweat in, um, and getting a good stretch in, a good workout in. And I used to tell people it was like running a race without actually running anywhere because with yoga, a lot of people don't realize you're building a lot of strength because there's nothing like you using your own body to build those little muscles to help with the big muscles, and people, especially men, don't realize that. And yeah, I mean it's a hard thing because we all think we got to lift heavy weights. You don't, because after a while those heavy weights ain't gonna do nothing but make you mad and get you hurt and just keep your muscles tight and sore a lot. And I mean I still do it. I still lift weights too. I just do a lot more. I have an equal balance of both at this point in my life. But so I just kept going. Um, Started teaching maybe I think 7 years ago. And I started off where it was like, I'm not trying to, like, I kind of got not pushed into it, but it was more like, hey, you want to teach? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it out. And then it was like, man, I ain't trying to do too much of teaching now. I'm just trying to help out because you're my friend. And
I
then
was about, yeah, I'm like you for all the everything, like you and I pick up, like I don't know that we've seen each other in maybe what 15 years, something like that, like
yeah,
face to face, whatever.
yeah,
But we pick up like
yeah,
like it's a time hop. So
yeah.
unless something's changed, yeah, you was just helping out. You didn't mean to do all.
Nah, I wasn't trying to do it. Yeah, I mean, I had a job. I mean, I had what I thought, and and I at the point I thought that was important to me to have a job, work 9 to 5. Um, and I kept going, kept teaching, and then I got certified to teach as a 200-hour level yoga teacher. Um, I don't know if I might have skipped around from what the original question was. I tend
No,
to ramble.
you're going right into it. Like this is
Okay,
perfect. I
okay, and
see,
then
you see,
so
hmm
yeah,
this is actually perfect, and I'm
all
paying
right,
attention, so that's new.
and then, hey, I told you what my grandmother said I was special, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She wasn't
And,
wrong. Shout out to your grandma. She wasn't wrong.
and anyway, so I stayed on and kept, and I started teaching and further my practice and teaching and further my own practice. And then I went back and did the 500-hour level teaching. And then I realized at that point I didn't, because I had worked as a preschool pre-K teacher the whole time. And at that point I realized that's not what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I didn't want to keep teaching. I didn't really want to keep working at a school. I mean, I love kids, but I don't like the whole process of getting up in the morning, working for somebody else, driving somewhere that you got to spend 8 hours doing something that you could be
Yeah, and
spend so
I
much.
love some kids. I don't love just
Yeah,
that seems
you know what I'm
far reaching.
saying?
I
Like
don't love kids. I
when
love
you drive
some
somewhere
kids are
and
awesome and
yeah,
cute and they do what the right thing, but some of them are just not awesome
I
too.
mean, I guess the difference is, and that is, you got kids. Like for me, like they're all cool to me because at the end of the day, you're gonna go
Or
your
you can
way, I'm
give
gonna
them
go mine.
away. You can
Yeah,
give
yeah,
yeah, you can give them back. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm
So
with
even
you.
if I
I'm
didn't
with
like
you.
you that much, like you still at the end of the day, like you might frustrate me, but I really don't dislike you because I'm only with you for 9 months or 10 months out of the year. Then you go on to somebody else.
Then you get
Here comes your
yeah.
next list. Like
That's fair. That's
I love
fair.
you to a point. That's why.
Ah.
That's how I used to be in my relationships too. Some insight to that.
That's fair. That yes, same.
Yeah, yeah,
And that I go around in a circle with. I got some homeboys that ask that question, like, "Oh, you?" I'm like, "I never intended to get married to nobody for no reason, not never."
nah. I mean,
That speaks to the level of respect and all the things that my wife, the gaps that she fills, because I
well, that's what it is. It's
there's
a team. But yeah. So then I inquired about owning a yoga studio, and it just kind of took a. I mean, took the rug out from under my feet and found somewhere, spent the money, and opened one up in the middle of a fucking pandemic. But because that's what I
Yes.
wanted to do in life. Just like,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was at the beginning of this shit. I used to tell people, not only is it hard enough being a black man in America, now I'm trying to be a business owner in America in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. So
So fun.
I
It
like
sounds fun when you say it.
hey, when you stack the cards against yourself, you got to figure out how tough you are.
That's real life. You ain't never lied. You and let me ask you this about the because I have it's not a phobia. I just don't like I like being uncomfortable, but I don't like necessarily my wife starts and she'll tell you this. When there's something that she's a master of and
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn, I get aggravated faster than if something that we are both trying to learn and she is like 2 steps from it. She could all the poses and all this other stuff. I think half of it's an Egyptian painting, but the like how would someone who is not flexible, not is used to just lifting weights and doing it that way and so forth, and obviously as we get older, your body is trying to tell you, hey, you don't need to,
Yeah, you have
so
to
so
figure
how
out.
do you account for that and get into that?
Well, I mean, I don't per se practice a traditional yoga, but I do practice yoga. And yoga is like karate. Like everybody's gonna tell you, like this is the way you're supposed to do things. This is the way you're supposed to do things.
Right.
But what they don't tell you is that just like with any other thing, I mean, with anything else, especially life, I mean, essentially life, everything's a process. So
Okay.
you've got to figure out what you can do. I mean, it's frustrating when you go some days, you might be able to just bend straight over, touch your toes, and like it ain't no thing, or you might go straight into a perfect plank. And then other days, you might be in a plank and you're trembling, or your elbows are out, or your hands are starting to point in or out. It
Mhm.
is life, but you have to take that as a lesson and then go, all right, well, if I don't knock it out right now, I'll come back to it, because just like with lifting weights or playing sports or working or relationships, you got to build on things. You can't, sometimes it ain't going to be your day. You know what I mean? But you can only do what you can do. So I tell people at the yoga studio now, somebody will walk out after their first class or second class and be like, oh man, I was dying in there. And I always tell them, like, the first step is you stayed in the room, you kept moving. I mean, you're just chipping away at the mountain. You got to, otherwise you're just gonna be frustrated. And there's no there's no strength in that. You mean you're just gonna be mad, you know what I'm saying? So if you're looking over at that next person and you over here doing uh you're doing warrior one, and you
I'm
start.
hurting them. No, I'm hurting them in my warrior one
I
now.
know,
Don't
but see, but how
I'm
do you know?
hurting
Because here's something I'm gonna tell you. If I brought out a camera right now and you got in the Warrior One, what you
them.
think you look like ain't what you look like. You know what I'm saying? And then me too.
That's
That's
fair.
and it's a hard thing to take, but that is essentially what we all are doing as far as working out and doing yoga. I mean, you do what you can. I mean, I can't get in there. I mean, I can bust out a handstand. I mean, a headstand. I mean, look at the size of my head, but I mean, I can, I can do, I can do a
I'm not
lot of
gonna
it.
mess with you. See, you keep
Hey,
lobbing these
hey,
grapefruits.
I
I'm
have
not
this
gonna
thing.
mess with you.
I have that. It's okay. I'm okay with it.
Your neck
I
is
accept
supremely
it.
strong. I know a lot
Huh?
about having big heads, but your neck is seriously strong. I already know.
Hey, it's okay. That's, that's what it's for. So I can get up in there. I can get my legs up in there.
You're right. You could do, yeah, you could do more than I can. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, so like things like that, or like, but there's other things like there's one class where we do a lot of binds and stuff like that. I ain't doing that. Like my body ain't set up that way. And there's like a pose where it's called the eagle pose, where you literally take your hands, you wrap your right hand, and you wrap your hands together like ropes. Man,
Okay.
I ain't built. This is as far as I'm
No, that's
going. You know what I'm
not. Yeah,
saying?
that's not how
And I
this is
wish I
set
could
up.
do it, but I do what I can, because it's the
Okay.
same. You get the same thing out of it, even if it's a modification. You get the same thing out of it. You just aren't equipped to do what the person next to you to do. In your case, you're not equipped to do what your wife is doing, and that's okay, because you can still look at her and go, "I may not be able to do this, but I can do this shit better."
Hey, I can pick up this
Yeah,
bus. How you like that?
yeah. Watch this.
Give me the pickle jar. Give me the pickle jar. Show you
Exactly.
what it is then.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And that's
dope, man. I really didn't, and that's the thing for me. Like with people trying to just start out, and I'll make sure we put the link in the bio for those of you that they're doing. You guys are doing online classes as well as in person classes.
mm-hmm.
Uh, to take a chance and take a look at it, because I know for sure that is something that I needed as far as more flexibility, because I feel like the mummy from time to time, like more
Yeah,
flexibility in my life here.
it's important. I mean, um, like I said, I think that especially if you're continuing to lift weights, the yoga is actually building that strength, whereas the you're lifting the weights is kind of keeping that endurance going and built and keeping that and more of a fitness kind of thing because you're in yoga it is when you think about it when you're saying doing a warrior pose when you're extending your arms straight up and trying and focusing on keeping your chest up and your shoulders back and down. It's one of the hardest things you can do to hold it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not just like watch me do this kind of thing. Cause like I said, what you think you can do and what it actually looks like is not always gonna be, it's not perfect. You don't like the picture in the book. None of us do.
Okay. Okay. Well, that made me feel a little bit better. Obviously, it to your point, it very much is a process, because even the lifting weights part, I've just spent a lifetime of already doing it, so it's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. Just got to keep chipping away at the mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what it is. I mean, um, some of the poses, I mean, just even like if there's the child's pose, for instance, is just a restorative pose where you're on the ground, your knees are out towards the side, you might trying to bring your toes together, and you're literally trying to bring your glutes, your ass towards your heels, towards the mat, right?
Okay.
And it
I spend
seems
a lot of my time in that, so you
yeah,
know.
it's well, it just seems easy. It's literally, it's literally like just say like if your body's like just tight right now, like if your hamstrings are tight, your hips are tight, it is very hard to sit back and just relax in a pose. So it's a process of you trying to figure out like today or like on this inhale, I'll sit back, on this exhale, I'll sit back a little further, and I'll sit back a little further until you can find a comfortable spot for you because it's not always going to be you're just trying to you can get your glutes all the way down into that mat or your forehead all the way into that mat because it's tough. I mean, it just is.
It's two things. One, I clearly have never done child's pose correctly. Is there maybe mine's toddler pose, where I just lay on the floor and wait for my wife to tell me to get up.
That might
That's
be
really,
you might be in shavasana then. That might when you're are you laying on your back?
sometimes, because I have now been defeated and my arms are shaking like this and I'm salty. So is that what they
Yeah,
call it?
shavasana is when you're laying on your back. It's also called the corpse pose, where you're literally laying on your back. You're supposed to be relaxing,
Yep,
arms out
because
to
you're
your
dead.
side,
Because I'm dead. That's it.
let let your heels flare out. I mean, let your but keeping your legs straight, but without keeping your legs straight, without keeping your legs tense. So
Okay,
you get what I'm saying. So
I'm with you.
it's a
Yeah.
hard thing to do because a lot of people the first thing you want to do is bend up your knees or slightly bend your knees because it's hard to keep your legs out straight and just relax. It's like a microcosm of life. It's one of the hardest thing to do is just to say what I'm, because you're listening, but like in like like say like if you were like we talk to your kid and you're like just sit back, right? And
Yeah.
you're saying sit back and they still moving and you're like man stay still, like but when you got to
Yep.
think about it, put yourself in a child's mind, like when or as an adult, it's the hardest thing to do because once you lay back and relax, especially right now with all this stuff most of us have going on, the hardest thing to do is relax. Because that moment you relax, you start thinking about something like, oh, wait a second.
Yes. Yes. One of the 55 things I have to do today.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that I think about.
Yeah. And like, and like, and then you're like, did I eat? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
No.
it's tough,
No, I did
man.
not.
Yeah, it's tough.
So what's next for you? You just opened your own shop. You're doing it your own way. You got your own art and everything else pumping out. What just continuing to build that, or to your point, like is you don't have any kids and that kind of thing? Is that coming, or
Oh,
you ain't even
nah.
thinking about that?
I mean, I may have kids in a small country, north of Mexico right now, but I
I
mean,
worry about you. I worry about
yeah.
you a great deal.
Hey, it's okay though. I mean, like I said, I think the kid's probably 14 at this point, but If he ain't 6'9" in the next LeBron James, he can stay where he's at.
Oh Lord, hey, shout out to Bishop's Unborns.
But now my next step is to continue to build the brand of the yoga studio I own. With my art, I'm trying to expand that more into I started doing I don't know if you saw it, but doing like
Yep.
leg
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get that back going. I took a break from that to kind of a backseat with doing the yoga studio because they're just taking a lot of my time and
Right.
just trying to build upon some, different revenue streams, just thinking about a lot of things. I mean, life is a journey. So I mean, it took me a while to get to this point. Um, I'm just happy, brother. Like, hey, I
With you.
never I used to think people were I used to when people used to say that, like, like I didn't reach I've done this and like I'm happy, or I went through this, and I used to think that was like, man, I don't care about this. I don't want to hear about your life, like that dumb shit. But like I
I've
have,
heard you say it. So
yeah,
yes.
yeah, like, yeah, the way, yeah, um, and now, I mean, I just have I mean, I feel like I I feel like I've just become like swallowed my pride kind of thing, like, and just I'm just happy, like, I mean, things frustrate me, we have ups and downs, but for the most part, I'm living, man. Like, can't tell me nothing. You
I
can't knock the
love it.
cool on my walk right now.
I love it. I love it. But that's why I was laughing so hard, because I remember at least 4 times where somebody was like, yeah, no, I'm just happy. And so or bought passes and you like, oh, you can shut the fuck up. Don't nobody
Yeah,
care about that.
yeah, you keep on living. Yeah, like,
Oh
thank
man.
you. Yeah, I mean, I still got that in me. I mean, that's part of that's who I am. I mean,
Well, it's yeah, same thing, pays rent in here. So I don't know what it
yeah,
is
I mean,
what it is.
I still talk shit. I still talk shit with the best of them, but I respect everybody's opinion. I respect who everybody is at this point.
That part. I
Yeah,
respect who
I mean,
you are. Just
I
don't
think
just
I mean, I went through life worried about me most for the most part, and now I think I find a lot. You can find a lot from asking questions and learning from other people. I mean, it takes a lot to do it, but once you start to realize that other people know some shit, then it's easier for you. I mean,
yes. Well, you skip all their mistakes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I enjoy that. I mean, I like asking questions. I like calling people and asking questions, and then going, "But you already knew that." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I want to hear from you." You know what I'm saying? I want to
That's
hear how you would
100%.
handle this. I know what
Absolutely.
I would do.
Jesus Christ. I worry about you. I really do. Well, brother, I appreciate you coming on the show. I genuinely appreciate you as a person. This has been another episode From the Root to the Fruit. I've been Jay Smith. That's Bishop Daniels. Take care of yourself. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton. Make sure you guys take care of each other. Peace.
All right, brother.